Moving on to discuss the Web3 ecosystem in Africa, Chainalysis reports that sub-Saharan Africa grew 16% year over year between July 2021 and June 2022. And although it may be the smallest region by cryptocurrency transaction volume, the region is one of the most well-developed cryptocurrency markets for peer-to-peer exchanges and transactions, and is the largest peer-to-peer market for retail transfers less than $10,000 globally, demonstrating crypto adoption at the grassroots level. Furthermore, 10 African countries also made their top 50 list for crypto adoption. Umar, why are retail African consumers so enthusiastic about cryptocurrencies? And what are some of the reasons and use cases driving crypto adoption at the retail level across the continent?
Yeah, thanks for the observation there, John. And as it is, the keyword here is grassroots adoption. When you look at the grassroots, you find a demographic of young, educated African youth, which is the majority of the population here. And they are really trying to, I would say, make the most of their lives given the hand that they are dealt. When the tail end of the global pandemic, the global economy is still reeling from that shock, and Africa hasn't been spared. So you have rampant unemployment across the continent. You have issues to do with folks just trying to get by, but it's not easily coming from the governments that host these individuals. So people have been forced, or the youth have been forced to think outside the proverbial box and be able to ask the question of how they can be able to make the most of what they have been given. And crypto comes out as a way that they can be able to get more out of their situation than they can actually get from the traditional means. Because if you look at this, the universities churn out talent every single year in the hundreds of thousands of individuals across the region, but the jobs do not really scale out. The jobs are even thinning out as it is. So people have been forced to think about how they can be able to put their skills to use, and also an industry that can be able to really apply to what they are, which is new, innovative, and also hungry for change per se. But this is why you see that this feeds into the numbers that we see for cryptocurrencies as well, and they're scattered across the region at the grassroots level, because the grassroots, like I said, is composed of youths across the continent, and they really want to see that they can make the most of the opportunities that they're given. So this is why you see that in countries like Nigeria, whereby the central bank may not really be pro-crypto, folks have been forced to kind of use peer-to-peer exchanges to make their transactions on-chain, as opposed to the standalone centralized exchanges that you may see in other countries. So it simply speaks to the sense of innovation and how folks can be able to make the most of what they've been dealt until the regulation is either favorable or it simply catches up to this. Because we're seeing the winds of change are blowing across Africa, and the youth do not want to be at the tail end of that. They actually want to be at the fore, leading this from the front. So you'd find that is even feeding into the ease of building infrastructure on the continent, as the youths that kind of create the demand for these cryptocurrencies are informing entrepreneurs and investors that there is a market that needs a solution. So you're seeing peer-to-peer exchanges coming up, even centralized exchanges in countries that can be able to, that are more crypto-friendly. Look at the case of Uganda, where we have around 4 domestic exchanges here, along with peer-to-peer markets, because there is that demand from this section of the population that is really driving this adoption. And it's really speaking to the dynamics of change when you look at the demographics, because what folks from, like, say, my parents' age group were used to, and the Africans of today are used to. Because back then, when you graduated, you're almost assured of a job straight out of the university. There weren't so many folks that were educated, so it was an easier time to be in the job market. The realities of today are that there are fewer jobs, and you really have to be enterprising and stand out of the crowd to actually get any form of financial employment per se. That being the reality, we're seeing that translating into more entrepreneurs coming up, and people are always asking the question of how can I be able to innovate around what is currently present on the market to solve for the problems that we have. So crypto is really solving that, as given the use cases that we can see, like on a chain like Celo, whereby you can have savings, remittances, humanitarian-based assistance. You can have lending on-chain. You can also have digital ID. You can have aspects of non-fungible tokens that are really giving a backbone to the artists on the continent to be able to monetize their work in a way that they couldn't do prior. And also the gig work economy is also taking off because of this. So crypto is really the lifeblood of this generation of Africans. And I believe that the trend will simply keep going as this generation is simply growing as it is. So yeah, that would really speak to what we see in the numbers, and sub-Saharan Africa is really following the trend. It will be curious to see how this plays out over the next few months to the midterm, maybe say 2 to 5 years out, and seeing what Africa will have then, because once there is this native demand in country for something that isn't really being provided by maybe the state, you kind of see that the state may be forced to listen to what the youth population is actually agitating for, and we may find a lot more collaboration going forward in this space, like as Africa.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like and subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date with us. We also produce a weekly newspaper packed with the latest Web3 news from emerging markets. The link to get access is in the description below. And if you really like the video, share it with your friends and leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for supporting the channel.